Parshas Devarim, Shabbos Chazayin. In a way, unfortunately, we're almost reaching another Tisha B'Av, and it's so far we haven't been told that it's going to be a Yontif this year yet. We'll talk a little bit about the week of Tisha B'Av, a little bit about Tisha B'Av, and a little bit about Parshas Devarim. Ki Hashem Elokecha beirachecha b'chol ma'aseh yadecha, yoda lechtecha es hamidbar hagadol hazeh, zeh arbaim shana, Hashem Elokecha imach lechasarta davar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's, the Pasuk says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you a bracha. He took you through the Midbar for 40 years. And all 40 years in the Midbar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with you. He was with us. And lo chasarta davar. We weren't missing anything. We'll start off with the Koshitz Magid has a sefer called Avodas Yisrael. And he says in his sefer on this Pasuk, very interesting thing. This Pasuk is always read right before Tisha B'Av. This pasuk is always Shabbos Chazayin, right before Tisha B'Av. Zok the Koshitz Magid that the reason is to give us chizuk. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what's a midbar? There's nothing in a midbar. A midbar is nothing. There's no water. There's no place to sleep. There's no place to do anything. A midbar is desolate. Yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from nothing, from having nothing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took care of us so much that the pasuk tells us Lo chasarta davar. We weren't missing anything. And this is a chizuk to us in a week of Tisha B'Av. We're missing everything. We're missing the Beis HaMikdash. We've been through so much, yet the pasuk is teaching us that this week, especially this week of Tisha B'Av, to teach us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always with us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will always take care of us. So Nesiv Shalom says on this that not only is it a lesson for Tisha B'Av, this is a lesson for every Yid in life in general. Zok Nesiv Shalom like this. He says every person, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, every person goes through difficult times in his life. He goes through times where he's sure things can never work out, where he's down, things happen to him. But there's one thing, a person has to know that Hashem Elokecha imach. Wherever you are and whatever happens to you, that you didn't get to this matzav by yourself. You didn't ask for it, you may have not wanted it, you may have not known how you even got there. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you at all times. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put you there. And if a person thinks, and if a person constantly thinks and internalizes this lesson of Hashem Elokecha imach, no matter where he is in his life, then the end of the pasuk is Mekoyim also, which is Lo chasarta davar. So when do we say Lo chasarta davar? When do we say that you're not missing anything? That's when a person always has in his mind Hashem Elokecha imach. We know that this galus that we're in now is the fourth galus that Klal Yisrael has been through. And in this galus, it's almost 2,000 years old. It's almost 2,000 years since we lost the Beis HaMikdash, since the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. And through those 2,000 years, Yidden have been persecuted, they've been killed, there have been pogroms. Any bad thing that could possibly happen, or any reason that Klal Yisrael should not be around, happened to Klal Yisrael. Yet, we see, especially today, in Medina Shel Chesed, we see especially since World War II, since the past 20, 30, 40 years, we see how it's amazing how Klal Yisrael is around, and Klal Yisrael is thriving. And L'maisa, it's a nace. If you take a look over 2,000 years, L'maisa, there shouldn't be anything, there shouldn't be any part of Klal Yisrael left. Why is that? Dr. Nesiv Shalom, the reason is because they always kept in mind Hashem Elokecha imach. And if you have in mind Hashem Elokecha, that's the kiyum of Klal Yisrael. The kiyum of Klal Yisrael is no matter what happened, no matter where they were, there were always people that knew that whatever happens, it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always with us. We once spoke a couple of months ago, and it's kedai to say it over. There's a beautiful Zayar. The Zayar says that by the first Churban Beis HaMikdash, when the Yidden left Eretz Yisrael, and they were on their way to Bavel, so the Zayar says that the Yidden were sitting at the banks of Bavel. We say Al Na'aris Bavel Shom Yoshavnu. What's the next words in the Tehillim? Gam Bachinu. Right? We were crying. Klal Yisrael was so down and so depressed that they just sat down because they felt that was it. They felt that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had totally divorced himself and totally forgotten about Klal Yisrael. That we were thrown out of Eretz Yisrael. The Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and there was no more relationship between Yidden and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gam Bachinu, they sat down. Zok the Zoyar that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told to the Pamaya delay and the Chel Dishmaya. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, so to speak, Kaviyachol to the Malachim and those that run things in Shemayim for him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them, listen, look what's going on here. Klal Yisrael is sitting on the banks of the Al Naharis Bavel, and they're crying, and we're all staying here, and we're all what we are. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told all of them that if Klal Yisrael is going into Golus, then we're going into Golus too. And at that point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent all of the Pamaya Demala, all the Malachim, and so to speak, the entire entourage went with Klal Yisrael to Bavel. And Dr. Zohar, that it says that when Klal Yisrael got to Bavel and they saw that Yecheskel Hanavi began to say Nevi'us again, and Yecheskel, and that there was Hashras Hashchina, then they had the confidence to know that it's going to be okay, that we're in Golus now, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take him out. And that's taka the way the Yidden were able to survive every Golus throughout the thousands of years of Golus now, because they knew Hashem Alekecha Imach. That's what gives a Yid the confidence that whatever happens, you know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you. This Shabbos is also called Shabbos Chazoin, and like we said, if Mashiach doesn't come in the next few days, unfortunately again we're going to have a Tisha B'Av that's not going to be a Yontif. There's a Medrash, the Medrash in Eicha says, on the Pasuk, an unbelievable Medrash, it says, Ki Hashem Hoiga Al Roiv B'Sha'el. That the Megillas Eicha brings down why different Averas, why we were punished. The Medrash says an interesting thing. Why were we sent into Golus? Why was the Beis Hamikdash taken away? He says from this pasuk that I would think, Dr. Medrash, what are you crying about? Today we call it crying over spilled milk, right? What are you crying? It happened already. Get yourself moving, improve yourself. Why are we crying about something that happened 2,000 years ago? Dr. Medrash, Al Roiv B'Shoel. It says, no, the teretz is that yes, we should be crying, but it's because of a lot of Averis. So what is the shakla v'taya of this Medrash? What's this Medrash telling us? First of all, what's the question? And what's the answer of the Medrash? So again, the Nesiv Shalom says an unbelievable thing and a lesson for all of us to take into the next week. We know, Kol Shalai Nivna Beis HaMikdash B'Yamav Ki'ilu Necharav. Any generation, any year that the Beis HaMikdash is not built, Dr. Medrash, that it's as if the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. Not just that we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, it's as if it was destroyed in this year, in our time. Dr. Nesiv Shalom, that is what the Medrash is telling us. In other words, you're right. It may not help to cry. What are you crying about? It happened so many years ago. Why are you crying? It's a good question. But you know why we're crying? We're crying because, you know what, it's another year. We're a few days before Tisha B'Av at Shabbos Chazoin, and what the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling us is that you and the Beis HaMikdash don't go well together. He's telling us every single year that we fast Tisha B'Av and we come to the next Tisha B'Av, unfortunately, that remember that the Beis HaMikdash was not built this year, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us that there's a reason for it, because of the things that we do, that the Beis HaMikdash and us cannot go together again. And it's taka, the Avelis is because of our Averis, because every single year that it's not rebuilt, it's as if it was destroyed. And this is something we have to think about. You know, it's always easy to think to ourselves, it's always easy to say, always easy to blame it on somebody else. Why was the Beis HaMikdash destroyed? Yeah, this one's Tznius, that one's Lashon Hara, this one. The Nesiv Shalom says, no, each person has to know that he has a responsibility to improve himself to build the Beis HaMikdash. You have to look at yourself. If the Beis HaMikdash is not built this year, it's because each individual person, because we didn't deserve to have our own Beis HaMikdash. So Wataka be mispalo that now we're coming to a Shabbos Chazoin. We have another few days to take the responsibility, each person, on himself. And not to say that it's something that was spilled milk, that it's something that's over and something that happened a long time ago, and not to say that it's anyone else's fault, that we should be able to understand that each one of us has the capability and the responsibility to build the Beis HaMikdash, and hopefully in the next few days it'll be a yontif this year, Tisha B'Av.